What's up, guys? Ronin, Timmy, TJ Combo. We're here with a Ronin stuff review of the Hori Fighting Commander 4 controller for the PlayStation 4.
Now we got this guy because we wanted to see how this thing stacks up against the PDP MKX controller, which you can see our review for at the link below. However, I would just like to say, we weren't super impressed with the PDP pad.
No.
But PDP does make a darn quality case, I'll tell you that right now.
Oh, PDP.
So I want to thank PDP for making this superior case.
To hold your superior controller.
To hold this superior controller inside, which is this wired, and we'll talk about why that's actually an advantage here in a second, fight pad. Now, this guy has so many more features than the MKX pad, which was about as stripped down as you could possibly be. I'm not going to talk about that pad too much because you can actually watch the review and our full thoughts on it.
Agreed.
But some of the big things that really hit us right off the bat was it didn't feel very quality, it didn't play very quality, and it didn't have any other features to go along with it. That thing was merely...
It exists to be a piece of plastic.
Really, a light piece of plastic. Yeah. This guy, however, I will tell you the first thing you do, we pull this guy out of the box. It felt pretty meaty out of the box. It does not have rumble pads in or anything like that.
But also, it doesn't need it. But it goes to show that you don't need rumble pads to make a controller feel weighty.
And I heard that argument when we did our other review, where people were like, it doesn't have rumble pads, it doesn't have rumble pads. And I was like, yeah, I get that. It's a really light, cheap controller. You know, if you're married to it, then, take it behind the middle school and make love to it. I don't care. But like this thing is meaty and it doesn't have that stuff. But let's talk about some of the things that it does have, because we've got quite a few hours in on this guy now. And one of the very first unique features that stuck out to me is this has a rotational D-pad on it. So kind of doing a little features list. Here we have the ability that we can unlock this, and then we can rotate the D-pad just slightly. So you can see it's just a little bit askew. What's cool about that is if for whatever reason maybe you have small thumbs or they're not comfortable, you can move it over a little bit. But you can also see that this controller has one longer horn than the other side. That is so that you can put this down on your knee and then play this with a fight stick style.
Right. Which we've tried.
We tried it.
And it's not for me.
Not for me either, but maybe it is for you. I've actually watched some competitions online where I saw somebody pull out the Japanese version of this, set it down on their knee, and go to town, and that works great for them.
It probably just depends on your game. For the game that I played it on, MK, it didn't work for me that way.
Right.
It's just not how I play MKX.
Right. And MKX has tougher inputs for that stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to, do something along these lines in order to pull off a combo. If I'm playing Street Fighter, however, I'm using the fierce and the heavy attacks, that kind of stuff. So it might work out better for those styles.
Yeah. Exactly.
Other stuff with this D-pad is on the back, you have the ability, you can adjust this screw, which changes the diagonal sensitivity of the D-pad.
Which is super cool.
Which is amazing. And one of the first things you can do is you can actually limit the diagonal inputs, which at first for a Mortal Kombat player, I was like, oh yes, that's amazing. So I turned it on because there's not, quarter circle rolls in Mortal Kombat, it's just down, forward.
Down, forward, down, back.
And it works great for that. The downside is jumping diagonally becomes very difficult. So difficult.
Is there a workaround for it, or you just...
Not really. I mean, I wish you could apply it to the bottom half of the D-pad, not the top, but they don't offer that. So I thought what was cool is I was like, all right, well, I'm going to try it on the loose setting as well, which would be great for quarter circle stuff. And that's when this thing started to blow me away, because this D-pad was so precise that I wasn't missing my inputs, even when it was set up to be at its most, loose. So I was like, I'm impressed. This D-pad has good precision. Now this is the American release. This is like one of the first ones for the American edition. The Japanese ones, probably the same controller with different lettering on it, but the D-pads did get some negative reviews I've seen where they said after an extended period of time, they start to wear out. But let's talk about the price of this thing.
Right.
We're going to include that as a feature, almost.
$44.99?
$44.99, shipped directly to your door. So for this controller at that price point, if that D-pad starts to give out, one, there is a way to fix it. You can look up tutorials online for it. Two, just order another controller.
Right.
It's $44. I mean, if you compare that to a DS4 or an Xbox One controller, that's $59.
And the reasons they can price it so low is because it's missing certain features that a regular controller would have. Like there's no headset port, which...
Bluetooth?
which Bluetooth, sure.
Yeah.
No rumble motors, but I mean, who really cares about that? So those are the reasons they can cut down on that price to give you a cheaper controller. But
what's cool is they're cutting down, but they're actually giving you more. With things like Bluetooth, you have to wait for your Bluetooth connection on your controller to sync to your system and then make the input happen. Wired tends to drop your inputs a lot less frequently, and also they tend to be faster.
Right.
So there's some advantage to having a wired controller, and it's just a 6-foot controller wire. I mean,
yeah,
plenty long
no
enough.
breakaway though.
Yeah, no breakaway. I wish they would have done
I
that.
do believe the PDP had a breakaway, but this one's just one solid.
I don't even remember because I returned it so fast.
Right.
Some of the other advantages on here is it does have your normal share button option, which is really cool in the Twitch era. Or if you want to tweet out a picture of whatever you've just done, you can do that pretty quickly. Now it does have the 6-button layout, which at first your thumb might get a little bit lost. Takes some getting used to.
That was my only beef with it. Is I would, unless I was staring at it, and that would go away after time, but I would hit the wrong buttons because I would.
You'd move your thumb over a set.
Right. Because they're the same exact size. So until you're totally used to it, you will think you'll hit here and you'll think these are the 4 that you're wanting when you mean these 4 here. So that's kind of a bummer, but anyone that's used to playing a 6-button controller, it should be not a problem to get past. So.
Right. But I'll tell you right now, that's for MKX. When Street Fighter comes out, that 6-button layout on here is vastly superior. And that actually kind of leads into the next thing, including for Street Fighter players who might be thinking about this for that. It's got a better quarter motion if you're doing any kind of circle rolls, but also there is an option on top where you can change the layout of this controller to make all 4 of the buttons run in succession, so that you could have technically an 8-button layout with one hand. But other than that, I mean, getting some time, I actually use this. This is now my tournament controller. So I do fight competitive, just E-League, esports stuff, ESL and other small tournaments here and there. This is the controller that if I'm on PS4, I will use. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, it's not on Xbox.
Right, that is the downside.
But they're probably wondering right now, what kind of score?
Because we usually do things on a 10-point scale here. So go ahead, Timmy. What is your 10-point scale score?
So I don't have a gripe with the controller, really at all. If the only true gripe is that after a period of time it wears out a little bit faster, I'm more than willing to replace it, and I will. So at this stage, I am a 10 out of 10 for $44.99. You can't buy a better controller for fighting games on PS4.
Beautiful. So I'm not quite that high. I think it's great. I'm not a particularly competitive player, so I would probably, on the fly, to pick between the two, I would probably just stick with my DS4 just because I'm comfortable with it. But for what it is and the purpose that it exists for, it's fantastic. So I give it a 9 out of 10 just because it's a quality controller. If you're looking and you have a PlayStation 4 and you see the PDP ripoff of this, just skip it and just buy what it is. Cool. Well, here's our Twitters. Please like and subscribe, share this video everywhere. Who anyone that might be interested in the Fight Pad or is looking at this one.
If you have questions, of course, shoot them at us. I'm more than happy to answer any of those.
We will answer just about anybody. We love talking with people and interacting with the community. So don't be afraid to say hello or ask us a question. I will personally get back to you as soon as possible. So we will see you soon. And
coming from a casual and the worst competitor possible, thanks for stopping by.
Yeah, it smells good too.